Now, if there's a lot of movement in your video, EBSynth is going to struggle with that. Like if it's a running football player or something, it's going to smear and it's going to tear, and you'll have to draw a lot of keyframes maybe. But there is another way to do this. I've been working on these experiments with my friend Alex Douglas, and he wanted to use a program called Deepremaster. This is an AI program which intends to automatically restore old film. It looks for dirt and damage, and it's also a colorization program. It's very different from EBSynth. EBSynth you control every step of the way. You type in your frame numbers, you give it your keyframes. Deepremaster is a black box. You upload your video and you upload a directory of your keyframes. Deepremaster does the rest, and its ways are mysterious. It goes through the video and it tries to make it look like your keyframes. It works best at its default resolution, which I believe is 400 by 320. And that is pretty low resolution, but it's fine for colorization. And it does give a more vague, less saturated, kind of smeary look, but it also handles motion really well. So that's going to save us a lot of work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my EBSynth renders and I'm going to patch them with Deepremaster. Anytime the EBSynth run doesn't look good, anytime it's smeary and has the wrong color, I'm going to use Deepremaster to fill in the blanks. It's got something in common with DeOldify. Really, your computer needs an NVIDIA GPU card in order to run it well. And I don't have an NVIDIA GPU, neither does Alex. Deepremaster runs without it, but without graphics acceleration, it runs very slowly. But as with DeOldify, you can use your web browser and access a Google Colab in Python 3, which can run Deepremaster in Python, and which can also emulate an NVIDIA GPU. I wouldn't recommend giving it too much to do. Alex had a problem where Deepremaster kept crashing. The Colab had about 15 gigabytes of memory, and this AI process was using up all of it and failing, especially when we tried to do something at a higher resolution than the default of 400 by 320. And we found out that the default resolution of 400 by 320 also gave us better results. So we split Metaphorically Speaking up into a bunch of parts, uploading only one part at a time and its associated keyframes, and rendering the result at a smaller resolution, which gave us the best results. And it handles the motion very well. It looks a little worse than the EBSynth output. It's a little blurrier, a little less saturated, a little vague, but it's also basically done at this point because it's done such a good job of tracking the motion. EBSynth's output is more accurate to what I actually painted, but will require some additional work to make it perfect. With Deepremaster, we simply provided our keyframes and it did the rest without further input from us. So these two programs actually work quite well together. What EBSynth does well, Deepremaster doesn't, and vice versa. Deepremaster tracked the motion very well, so I'm able to boost the saturation. We're going to boost the saturation of the Deepremaster output in Premiere using the three-way color corrector, not the regular color corrector, not the hue, saturation, and lightness, but let's use the three-way color corrector in Premiere and bring the saturation up to 175 or to 200. Wherever the EBSynth run looks a little weird or where it's obviously changing from one color keyframe to another, we're going to plug in the Deepremaster run at varying opacities depending on how good or how bad the EBSynth run is at that point. And we're going to raise the saturation of the Deepremaster run to match 175 to 200, and that should make them look about the same. Just occurred to me the irony of using Python for this, because the Python programming language was named after Monty Python, and technically there is a member of Monty Python in some of these clips, and there were 4 members involved in this show. So okay, we're going to go to colab.research.google.com and we're going to start a new Google Colab.
which already has a lot of stuff installed in it that we're going to need. And we're going to start a new notebook in Python 3. And I'm going to click Runtime and Hardware Accelerator. I'm going to select GPU so that we have an NVIDIA GPU. And that'll help us render this stuff. To create a new block of code to run, there's a plus code button at the top left. So I'm going to type in !NVIDIA-SMI. And that's loading in all of our NVIDIA GPU. Then I'm going to clone the GitHub. I'm going to type in !git clone. I'm going to type in the GitHub of Satoshi Iizuka from SIGGRAPH Asia 2019, remastering, the deep remastering GitHub. I'm going to create a directory, cd content SIGGRAPH Asia remastering, and then we're going to run a bash download model.sh. On the left, there should be a toolbar you can open. Click the Files tab, right-click the SIGGRAPH Asia, and click Upload, and choose your video. Right-click it again, and create a new folder for your references. Right-click your References folder, and click Upload. Choose all of your reference frames, like 10, 15 frames at once, because if I load too many, it'll fail. It actually screwed up when I had an underscore in the file name of this video, so I'm going to take the underscore out. I can then run the remaster Python script. Run, without brackets, !Python remaster.py --input video.file --reference directory, reference folder name, --GPU. Uploaded files will be recycled when the session ends, but the code blocks will stay and will be saved to your Google account for easy reuse. You can put in a flag that says min-dim, that's minimum dimension, that specifies the actual size of the video. And we found that the smaller images actually had better color in a lot of ways, like the 600 width image or the 450, 500 width image had these gray areas. This is also what we found with DeOldify, that if it was at its lowest setting, the colors were much more vivid, like around 25 or 30, when he wanted to go up to 75, and that was just basically a black and white image. But anyway, we were still dealing with an error on line 116, and it would say CV2 resize error. It would say OpenCV. It's saying it can't resize the last frame because there's no more frames, so it fails at the very end of the video. And that's pretty stupid. We didn't always have this problem, but once we started to have this problem, we did not stop having this problem. We had this problem with everything we did, and it's terrible. There are temp directories. It's saving every frame as a PNG file in a temp directory. I could call up a zip file. So I put !zip-r, and then I put in the name of a zip file I'd like to create, and then the full content /SIGGRAPH Asia 2019 _remastering /temp /output. That's the full path to the temp directory that DeepRemaster is outputting. And I'm zipping all that up into an output file, and then I save that file. Google has been blocking this download of these zip files just over and over and over again. It's like, we have blocked this site from downloading multiple files. It never asks me if I want to do this. It never says I can just allow this. It just keeps doing this over and over and screwing with me. And it takes a long time to download these files from Google Colab, and it's Google blocking Google. You're blocking your own software every time. I've had so many downloads fail because it doesn't go directly into Chrome's downloads. It's doing its own download thing, and then when it's done, it goes to Chrome. But then Chrome blocks it as suspicious, or it's downloading multiple files, and there's no way to shut this off, and it's driving me nuts. I've been wasting quite a bit of time, but I did manage to download everything in the end. It just took a little longer. So be on the lookout for that. Chrome may block your downloads. But anyway, our final product, as you can see here, is a mix. I've edited together the 3 different versions that we have, the EBSynth and then the Deepremaster with saturation raised. I've brought that in at different opacities, up and down, whenever I didn't like that section of the EBSynth run, whenever you could see a keyframe change or when it got smeary or was the wrong color, I brought up the Deepremaster, and then over the top of that, I changed opacity, blending mode, luminance for the mini DV version of the original image from the DVD in full quality. So everything else was just the color. And that looks pretty beautiful, if I do say so myself.